another video, which actually, all of this is actually linked. One thing is linked to the other, and so you might have to make your own notes, watch the videos, pause it, take your own notes as we go along. So, first thing is first, I'd like to tell you a story, because we all have stories, right? So, I do not know if you've read a bit of my background, but this is a story of something that happened to me about 20 years ago when I came with my ex-partner here to the UK, and we were homeless. We came with, I think it was like £150 cash, a mobile phone of that time, 20 years ago, and our backpacks. We just did not have anything else. So I remember we were sent from a job center. That's actually another story. We were literally like kicked out of the job center. A friend of ours from Spain just told us, if you land and you are in the area of Reading, there is a nearby the train station, there is a job center which you can just go in and apply for work. We didn't speak the language, we did, as I said, barely any money, and our backpack. So we went in with our minimum English, and I was just told that we were not welcome in this country. So as you can imagine, two young people, this young couple, I just felt humiliated, completely like stepped over and crushed. But we decided at that time that it was best to then take a train and come to London, because a friend of ours also had told us at the time. Let me just actually close the door. At the time, a friend of ours told us that, one of the best places that we could go was in Camden Town. There were a lot of places there, like inexpensive to have some food, and accommodation was also very inexpensive. So here we go, we actually got our stuff, we went to Camden, and a few other stories happened along the way. But in one of the places that we got to, and it was May. It was around the 20th of May of 2000 when we came to the UK. So we got into an area, I think it was around Fulham area. I can't really remember that well. But what I do remember is that we were actually sitting down in this, outside of this beautiful private garden. It was just enormous, one of those residential those huge mansions that are in central London. And we were just on the floor with our backpacks to the side, and we were just eating a tin of tuna, which now that I'm thinking back, I'm like, a tin of tuna? I mean, I could have at least just eaten like a sandwich or something, a salad. No, it was just a tin of tuna, which I look back now, I'm like, it's even more humiliating. But there was that, as we are eating from this tin of tuna, this man walked down from his property with his little small dog, and I will always remember. And he approached and he said, are you sleeping in the streets? And we obviously spoke hardly any English, but we could understand a little bit. So we said, yes, we are. And so he said, no, the reason why I'm actually telling you this is because if you are planning to jump onto my private garden to sleep tonight, I will call the police and kick you out. And that was one of the worst things that has ever happened to me. But now, 20 years after, looking back at all the personal development, all my, spiritual journey, personal growth journey that I've gone through in the last many years, at least 6 years, I've come to the realization that I am really grateful that those things had happened to me. And now I'm actually thankful to that man for showing me the things that he had and that I didn't. And what I mean by that is that now that I go back and I think about things, I can see how he did have one thing, and that was lack. He had a lot of lack of empathy and compassion for people, and that is something that I did not have. So why am I actually telling you this story is because stories are also part as well of those memories, and if we don't eliminate those memories, they're always stuck with us, within us, and we're not really moving anywhere. We either closing the loop of those memories, we eradicate those, we delete, and we can then walk along our path and putting things in that are more beneficial for us. So now just that I've covered a bit of a story, and that I know that you have many of them as well. So I just hope that you probably look back in time as well, back to your past, and will remember a lot of many stories of things that have happened to you. But the whole point is what you make out of those stories. Okay, so after I've just touched as well on that story, and okay, so to not to summarize, but to show you how you can become the new you, transform from where you were to now. Right, so let's have a look. So this and this is the old version of you. This is your old reality. This is your conscious mind, and this is your subconscious mind. All right? Now, I want you to imagine that you are a gardener. And if you haven't read my ebook, I recommend that you actually do that. Because I do touch a lot on planting seeds and, you know, you being your own gardener. So let's imagine for a second that we are our own gardener. And here in the old reality, that's the old version of you. You are the gardener and you're planting weeds. Planting weeds. And we don't really want to plant weeds. We're not going anywhere if we plant weeds. Right? And this subconscious mind, this is the unfertile soil. We will get there. Right, so here in the subconscious mind is, remember, this is your old reality, this is the old you, old version of you. Here you are unaware. And you are accepting, most likely, okay, most likely, accepting things as they come. As they are presented to you. Alright? Now in your subconscious mind, looking back at the other video that I posted, this is your memories. This is our nasty attitudes. This is our negative thinking. This is stories, lots of them. We've got lots of them. Stories. These are patterns of behavior. Alright? And these are beliefs as well. Beliefs that are holding us back. Okay? That's all contained in your subconscious mind. Now I want to touch as well upon this data that I touched on, that I talked about on the previous video. when you are so unaware, and you can be unaware of the actual reality of things that happen. So if you do not know that they are illusions that our mind creates, then you are unaware. But in this matter, what I mean to say is that you are aware of very limited. Okay? Now the conscious mind holds about 40 bits of data per second. 40 bits of data per second, okay? The subconscious mind, millions of bits of data per second, okay? So really, we hardly are aware of anything at all. This is huge, this subconscious mind. All right, so what do we need to do to actually clean all of that, to remove all of this and create our own new reality? First of all, let me go back a little bit on my previous post. One of my previous posts, I've posted a file, which is a document that says something on the lines of your desires list, your wish list, your desires list, your desires catalog. And remember that point because of what I'm going to be teaching you, touching on them right now. So that's your old reality. And just also to remind you of something, of a quote from the amazing Albert Einstein, is that, and this is something that keep thinking about it all the time, is that energy can be created, neither destroyed. It can only move in its form. It can only, shape from one form, change from one form to another. But it can neither be created nor destroyed. So everything in the universe is energy. You, me, this pen that I'm holding, this board, absolutely everything that you see is actually energy. And thoughts are not different, and stories are not different. They are also energy, but is what we have to do with that energy. Now there is something that is called the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. All right, so that's what they refer as energy can be created, not destroyed. It can only change its form, and there is a law that proves that. Is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. To transmute basically changes its form. Okay, that's another law that I'm really curious. And as I said at the very beginning on this program, is everything I do is based on universal laws. Everything that happens in the universe, in your life, in my life, in everything that you see, is based on universal laws. Okay, so now we want to actually create our new reality. Right? So we've got here again our conscious mind, and we've got here our subconscious mind. All right? Now here, the gardener, we're still gardening. We're gonna get super fit doing a lot of gardening. Gardener. Gardener. Now this gardener over here, the new reality, you're not planting any more weeds, okay? You're planting seeds. Right? And what about the subconscious mind? Now this is a fertile soil. All right? So what we want to do to actually open a gap in between here and open a gap here as well. Why? Because what we want to do is to then pour out here from our old. We want to pour out all of that so this energy can be transmuted, and we want to pour in what's useful to us. We want to be, remember, we want to be at zero so we can actually get that inspiration through, and we can actually fill it in with our own consciousness. By being aware and conscious, we can fill it in with stuff that is beneficial to us. So in this case, with gratitude, and desires. Okay, so here the things we're gonna be, the things that we want to be, the things that we want to have, and the things that we want to do. Okay, this is our desires. We really want to be tapping into this as much as possible. Okay, be conscious, and that's why I've put that I'm giving you that tool, that document, for you to begin tapping into your desires as much as possible. We want to have in that list a minimum of 100 items, and well, according to all the research that I've done, between 100 items to 5,000 items. Now, I want you to imagine that you walk into a store. We're going to imagine that we're walking into John Lewis, okay? We're going to John Lewis for what? We're going to John Lewis or any other shop to do some shopping, to buy stuff, right? And you go to the attendant, and the person serving you says, "How can I help you?" And you're like, "I don't know." The attendant asks you again, "What would you like? How can I help you? What would you like?" Don't know. Don't have a clue. Okay, so the attendant just walks away and goes to the next person that comes in, that opens the catalog and says, "I want this. I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this." Okay? And it just continues like that. The attendant will go and will serve other people that really know what they actually want. They know how they want to be, they know what they want to have, and they know what they want to do in life. And that's how the universe actually works. So you can create actually your own model, your own reality, but you have to start tapping into these desires, and all these tools that I'm giving you is for that. You see, I'm actually condensing all this information, all this research that I've done for many years. I'm putting it, condensing it in a manner that hopefully it makes sense to you. You can actually understand it. This is all metaphysical stuff, but it doesn't need to be complicated. We can actually break it down in a manner that it's, that you can understand. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So, but as I used to be many years ago, I did not know these things either. I was just accepting things as they were presented to me. You see, if you don't actually have your own desires, someone else has desires. So you're going to comply, you're going to be helping them to achieve their desires. Because many people do have a plan in life. If you don't have your own plan, you become a part of their plan, if that makes sense. Right, so once we've actually done a lot of this cleaning, this memory cleansing, then we are emptying all that rubbish out. We're kind of recycling, let's put it that way. This transmutation, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, is kind of a recycling. Again, this energy can be destroyed, neither created. It can only be moved, it can only change its form. So we are transmuting that energy, and as we clean all of these, then with the gratitude, which I've also put on my ebook, there is there is a section there for you to be start to write down the things that you're grateful for, to feel, especially to feel in your body as you are grateful for things in life every single day. Take your time in a notebook or somewhere to write down a few things. Doesn't need to be many. I used to write 10 things per day. Now I don't that anymore because I've programmed myself to do it as I go along in life. So as long as I spot something that is amazing, I'm just really grateful immediately, and I feel it, and I really send that energy of gratitude. Nowadays I do write about 3 things per day, but again, as I go along, I also send that energy in. So you wanna be as more grateful as possible. We empty that rubbish, yeah, and then we fill it in with stuff that is going to be beneficial for us. Now, coming back to that tool, the tool to actually clean all that rubbish out. Now, this is a tool, this is something that I became qualified, but this technique or practice, I'd say, was initially introduced to me by a good friend of mine, and I'd say that more than a friend, she's a spiritual coach to me. She's a mentor to me, and it was introduced in our sessions. She was actually doing it with me, and at the time I just did not know. Later on I went into personal development training programs, and I learned more about it. I'm like, well, I'm actually super curious about it, so let me become a qualified, certified instructor or whatever, practitioner, I would say. So that's exactly what I did, and what I'm going to be teaching you is actually a very, very simple technique that you can do on a daily basis. And I'd like to give you a bit more of background, a bit of history behind this technique, which it's actually called Hooponopono. It's a forgiveness tool. Okay, so I'm going to just put here forgiveness. Okay, and the tool is called Hooponopono. This is a Hooponopono. Actually, is a Hawaiian name. It actually means to make it right. That's exactly what it means. So this practice was initially used in Hawaii by some missionaries. That what they used to do is they gather people together, and even families, and there was always a leader, someone that led the group. So what they would do is they would sit down, and the leader of that session would encourage the people to talk. So they had issues amongst them, and they would within that session everything was talked about, and all that kind of those issues that were the problems that they had in between them was resolved, was completely cleared. Now, doctor, that was, however, many long time ago. This has got a lot of history behind, and which is actually irrelevant. The relevance here is how this practice has evolved. And now there is this Hooponopono practice is called self-identity Hooponopono. And what they mean by self-identity Hooponopono is that we can practice it on ourselves, because the work that we do when it comes to clearing this memory, we have to do it ourselves. You see, life is like a mirror, and I think that I spoke about this on my previous video. If I haven't done in my previous video, then I apologize for that. But look at it will be useful for you to begin looking at your life as if you would look yourself in the mirror. So everything that you see is a reflection, okay? A reflection of what's happening within you. So let me just tell you a little bit more about how I told you about how it all began. with this forgiveness practice. And then, as everything in history, everything evolves. So there was this man called Dr. Hugh Lynn, and he worked for 4 years at a hospital in Hawaii, state hospital, and this hospital had a ward where they kept criminal and mentally ill people. Now, this ward was actually pretty stressful for everybody. It was so dangerous that the key workers there, the therapists working there, would actually walk against the wall like this because they were so scared, so frightened that they would be attacked. These were actually mentally ill criminals. This was like not a nice place to be in. Staff members were actually leaving the job every single month. People will drop out. They will call in sick constantly. It was not a pleasant place to be in, to work or just to be there. So Dr. Hugh Lynn, he started doing some work. So he expanded on this whole Hooponopono practice, and he never worked directly with these criminals, person to person, but what he did do is to go through their files. He reviewed their files, and then he started to do this whole Hooponopono practice within himself. And what he discovered is that within months, these criminals and mentally ill people that were in shackles, they were being released. They were getting better. Staff members were actually finding it even more pleasant to come to work. And even those criminals that were in that ward, that were just they were just being told that they would never be able to leave. They were being freed from that hospital. They were being released. People that were on medications that were really, really, really strong medications, they were being completely put on a minimum dosage, if not just completely removed, completely taken out of that medication. So when they interviewed this man, they asked him, what did you do? Because to this day, actually, that word is actually closed. I believe that for the research that I've done, the hospital remains open, but the word actually is shut down. So what did he do was actually just repeat a few mantras in his mind. That's all he was doing. Over and over and over, he would repeat these words. I love you and thank you. That's all he was doing. He understood, he's done massive, extensive research on metaphysics, obviously he's a doctor himself, and these people were getting better and better. So now there are, entrepreneurs all over the world, business people, actors, you name it. People that are in the finance sector, they're using this whole Hooponopono practice. When I started, I just did not know, but I am a curious being and I want to know a bit more of the origins. And that's when I decided to become a certified practitioner so I could teach others. Now, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to begin taking note on this whole Hooponopono practice and start reminding yourself every single day, repeating to yourself these 4 mantras. And I'm just gonna tell you in a sec, but I also want you to know that in the next video, what I'm gonna do, because I like shortcuts. I do not know you, but I do love shortcuts, right? So I do believe that the divine is the most, perfect thing that has ever existed. This is creation. It knows everything. It has no limits. And why not to turn onto divinity for help, right? So lo and behold, I was actually put to learn how to program your inner child, how to program your mind to start doing this cleaning for you. Because there is, as I said, remember that the subconscious mind is millions. It actually there are millions of bits of data flooding through our senses on a per second, imagine. So it needs to filter some things, but there is a lot of residue, a lot of nasty stuff that needs to be cleared. And that's what is creating the problem, these memories. It's creating anxiety, it's creating depression, it's creating stress, it's creating uncertainty, it's creating uneasiness, disease, illness. That's the actual problem. So we have to begin to clear it. And it's a matter of just giving it a go. I'm one of those persons that I'm not going to be teaching anything unless it has impacted myself. Knowing my background, if you haven't, I actually recommend that you go onto my ebook or my Facebook page and you read on my background. You name it, I've actually been there. Anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. I've actually attempted suicide many times. I've been homeless twice. I've been, physically and psychologically abused. I've gone through a near-death experience through a car crash. There is a lot. When it comes to trauma, I think that I know one or two things, and I will never be given tools unless I have tried them before and they are working for me. So this is what I want you to do, and use the habit scorecard that is also on the files section to start adding these things. These are very, very simplistic things, such as the gratitude thing, your desires list, this Hooponopono practice, the breathing technique that I also taught you at the very beginning when we began, and many more small tools that I'll be giving you in the ebook. There are many others, and these are very, very, very small things, one tiny step at a time. We want to start, being as conscious creators, as more conscious creators as we can, so we can create our own reality. So this forgiveness practice, this Hooponopono, I want you to begin repeating to yourself over and over as much as you can, but if something really nasty happens to you, even more. And as we are projecting onto others, what this Dr. Hugh Lynn and other leading as experts say, that it's all to do with cleaning what's going on within you. The more you tap into your self-love, the more you change the external world. So what he claims is that doing this cleaning, it means that you are at peace. You come to a place of inner peace, and therefore nothing else is going to be affected, because what he claims is that whatever is happening to these people in our lives, and everything that is surrounded us, by the way, he also cleans in material things, in homes, in land, that, by the way, land also has what they call geopathic stress. So the land that we live in and that we build homes, they also suffer some stress. And obviously, as you can imagine, it can in fact impact as well our lives. So I want you to begin to repeat in your mind over and over and over as much as you can. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Forgive me. And thank you. Thank you for reminding me that I am here, that I am alive, that I've got new experiences to go through. I am sorry that I've been completely unaware of everything that was going on in my life, that I did not have the tools to actually go through in life. Please forgive me for all those things. I'm sorry as well that I have been not listening to my body, not listening to what's important in my life. And all those things, thank you for reminding me, for bringing peace within me, for removing and clearing all this memory within me and within others. So that's the whole thing that you have to just remind yourself and repeat over and over, is those mantras of, and it doesn't matter the order, by the way. I've also checked this, and it doesn't really matter. Please forgive me. I love you. I'm sorry. And thank you. okay, over and over and over. Now these experts, when something really happens to them, something, you know, we all go through obstacles in life, and challenges, and when those things hit in, when they are exposed to those, then because they've already programmed their subconscious minds to do the cleaning 24/7, on top of that, then they become more conscious and they do it as well. So I have my own experience. I've been practicing this for a while now, and I have had as well very good results. So I'm really happy to share these things with you. And it's not a matter of belief. Well, of course it's a matter of belief, but it's more than that. It's more about you know, putting those things into practice, and then you have the evidence. Because for those people that are more logical, that they are more living on their brains rather than on their heart, they're gonna be tapping more on the logical mind. Their ego is going to be more in control of what's going on in their lives, and we want to be tapping as much as possible in our hearts, but we do on occasion, like I do as well, live on our mind. Our logical mind wants to know things, and if that is the case, then, you know, practice, and then you will receive the benefits. You will see it for yourself. Okay, so I think that I've actually covered pretty much everything that I needed to touch. Gardening, plus the law of vacuum, which I have actually forgotten to say. The law of vacuum is actually this thing of cleaning, right? Law of vacuum. So by us being, this law of vacuum just actually absorbs, takes away everything that is nasty, that is unnecessary. Again, that's another important law. So as it takes out the nasty stuff from here, we want to replace it with gratitude, with our desires, as much as possible. Tap into the things that you want to be in life, the things that you want to have, and the things that you want to accomplish. And before I leave, I'd just like to tell you my way, my interpretation of what personal growth is. Personal growth it's not just a matter of thinking positively. The key is actually to discard the old parts of you that have become outdated, and then create the new version of yourself. That's actually the key, is to become the new you and discard, get rid of the old parts that do not serve you anymore. Okay, and with this I leave you for today, and any questions, do please ask. I hope that you have actually learned one or two things. Again, this is my way of putting things in a format that makes sense to me, and I'm just hoping that it also makes sense to you. It has never been explained to me in this way, but I've done extensive research, which, by the way, by the end of this program, when you finish, I will be giving you as well a list of resources, so you can also do your research if that is something that you are interested. Okay, so I'll leave you for today. Bye bye. You take care.